afternoon, everybody. My name is Yahya Nadeem. Welcome to my channel called The Astonishing History. Today's topic is going to be about the French Revolution. What was the reason of the French Revolution? How did the French Revolution started? So, in this topic, we are also going to cover about the reason of why the King Louis XVI got beheaded and his spouse or wife, King Marie Antoinette, was also beheaded 3 months later after King Louis XVI's death. So, what was the reason of the French Revolution? First of all, we are going to go to King Louis' great grandfather, who was King Louis XIV. King Louis XIV was the king at the time of 1682. However, King Louis XIV spent much wealth on his castles or palaces, even in his well-fortunate corruption and priorities when he became king. He didn't exist at that time, meaning he was not existed to rule the French government, or either he didn't care about the peasants at that time, because 98% of the peasants were included in the French government, and he used taxes to take over the money of the peasants, and the peasants were unpaid to give from the government. The peasants used to work so hard at the time and they had too much pressure of taxes. They used to collect taxes from peasants, not only the king, even the barons, or you can say the nobles, used to pay taxes from them, get taxes for them, and use corruption and didn't do anything for the country. However, in 1754, King Louis XVI was born, and he was only 20 years when he became the King of France. He was 15 years old when he became the husband of Marie Antoinette. The couple were from Hungary. Especially Marie Antoinette was the daughter of a very wealthy family, extreme wealthy family, and she came to France later in 1770. In 1770, when she came to France and she married Louis XVI, she promised to the French nobles or the French nation that she will embrace the French government and exclude the point to change the country's nation. However, at the time when King Louis XV became king, he was not like his grandson or his father. Louis XIV was the father of King Louis XV, and King Louis XVI was the grandfather of King Louis XV. So it makes sense that Louis XV was quite better than Louis XIV and Louis XVI. He changed in order to change the nobles for the French Revolution or the French people, and there were no wars until 1789. In 1789, the French Revolution had started, and King Louis XVI was quite corrupt because, just like his great grandfather, King Louis XVI had managed to disown the peasants or the people of France, because the peasants were quite observed with their work and they didn't had any money to pay to free the taxes or to staff themselves fully. Now the point comes that what did King Louis XVI do to manage France? Basically, the King Louis XVI was not great at politics. He didn't obey much of his nobles or his people and so on. So the people started to revolt, the people started to attack and break their castles and so on. Therefore, in addition, King Louis XVI didn't even observe or engage with the people of France, that they were so poor that they can't even feed the hungry child for food from food. Being giving taxes, number one, spreading of corruption was so manipulated that it was like a monopoly of giving the taxes and spending much on wealth. Therefore, Marie Antoinette was just like her husband, and she didn't observe to the parliament. She didn't control anything to France, and there you can say that the country was gained under spending much wealth and giving hope to other countries. Just like in 1793, American Revolution has started, so the Americans wanted to fight over the English native troops. So the English native were also they were occupying many lands in the 18th century. What did the French wanted? The French had to fight against the British and wanted to free Americans. The French had spent various of money, overwhelmed of European pounds, Europeans money to engage the Americans to attack the British, and they will gain independence. Soon later in 1774, America got its independence, but it was not over by that time. Later on in 1780s, America had made alliance with France so that they can defeat the British troops. The British troops on the other side, they were quite weak. They got wrecked due to attack of America, and America had gained independence. But however, they fought the battle. They fought many conflicts, and even though France had given much wealth to America so that they can defeat England, but it was no use because France had gave the money to America to attack the American Revolution, and there was no hope of money to increase the wealth of their country. So due to that, King Louis XVI was also a very corrupt ruler. Therefore, not only corrupt, he was a very unutilized person. He was quite tough to manage because he used to execute many people as well, but some say it's not. As for that, France was the most weakest countries in Europe at that time, as the majority had to leave their country so on off. Now in this, the American Revolution also comes because in 1793 the American Revolution had just started or was going on. The American Revolution had no hope but to attack by England. So what did the French do? The French went to India, the French went to other types of countries, including America, Australia, and New Zealand. They went to observe and to help the Australians or the Canadians, the Americans to gain power and attack England. Soon later, the American Revolution had came to an end, and by 1795 to 1800s, the American was revolved as the nation of America. The France itself, they were not quite assembled to rule against against themselves or against other parts of nations because France was quite wrecked or weakened by their manipulating powers to different types of countries. Other than that, the execution of the King Louis XVI execution was the reason behind that. He spent too much money on lavishing palaces or castles, spending too much time with nobles, giving taxes to other countries, giving more goods and services to other countries that it can be exported. So he didn't got life or he didn't care about his own country, what is going on in France, and so on. So at that time, Queen Marie Antoinette started to say the word let them eat cake because food was less in France. There was not much food to occupy for all peasants to give this type of hunger. They were starving. They were so furious against the king that they wanted to execute the king, but they couldn't manage until the year 1799. However, when hundreds of peasants flew down and when they went off from France, then the king utilized that. Okay, the peasants are quite upset with me and they are very furious against me. So why not I should do something? So unto this factor, the king was not a great ruler and was not like his grandfather or like father like Louis the 15th. At least his grandfather Louis the 15th managed to manipulate and used to attract the peasants and so on, but not like King Louis XVI. Was not like his father or grandfather, because you can see that after King Louis XVI, no one was interested to rule the French Parliament, and so on. During his execution, when King Louis XVI was executed by the guillotine, other nobles were also executed after him, and 3 months later, Queen Marie Antoinette was executed by her corruption. What happened after the French Revolution? In 1799 to 1815, Napoleon became king. Napoleon was a soldier at that time and he was quite interested to rule over France. So he became king in 1799 after the execution of King Louis XVI. Now, when Napoleon became king, he was frustrated with other nations like England or Germany or with the Ottoman Empire itself. So, the Ottoman Empire also had a bit of power because they wanted to weaken the Ottoman Empire. They wanted to attack the Ottoman Empire to strike off and gain more power than the Ottoman Empire. So, the Ottoman Empire was more, the majority of making the consequences between Europe. However, by the 18th century, the French Revolution had come to an end, and therefore the French troops invaded the Ottoman rulers in the steppe of Syria, Egypt, and so on. And the Ottomans itself, they were quite powerful than the Europeans. The Ottomans attacked, strike even Russia at that time. By the 1800s, the Russian Parliament also attacked France, and they all fought it in groups. Not until 30 years later, the Ottoman Empire had come to a decline, and therefore the French Revolution. After the French Revolution, the France gained more independent and became struggle. They were also overwhelmed by their power. Economic power is quite gained. Until that, not until the First World War in 1914 to 1918, the French was not interested to attack the war until Austria-Hungary had started the war. This will be covered in another video. So until the 18th century to the 19th century, France had some consequences by themselves, and they were not figuring out the puzzle that how they will attract to the people or how they will attract to the governors. So until the time of Napoleon in 1799 to 1815, France slowly began to attract more peasants or people of the nation. So on, during the time of the French Revolution, the peasants or the high class people this got separated by the French nation, and they got Independence Day on July 1789 because they were frustrated about the monarchy that they ruled for many years and so on. So their own national uh, national day was on July 1789, and they are also celebrated as Republic Day of France. This is the video which I had told you at least. This is the first time basically, but I have heard about the French Revolution many times. So, in my opinion, the French Revolution was quite a gruesome era until for 10 years, and that time both nations, England and France, were consuming about to attack the region or the particular European Union. So America was also quite not that hard, as for especially for French sovereignty was quite powerful. So with the sovereignty of France and sovereignty of England, they used to fight each other as they were both border nations. So when the French fight against the British and the British had lost their weapons and their power, France accumulated and used his powers to engage with America and therefore engage with other provinces of power. The French also went to India and to strike against the British because the British and the France were not engaged with each other since 100,000 years ago. So this will be another video that why is France not engaged with England and what was the reason of the First World War. This will be a separate video. For this video, we have started about the French Revolution, and I hope you like this video. Please share, comment, like, and give my followers. Thank you.